Happy Friday. How is everybody? You okay?
I just dribbled.
You're going to make it? Yeah, happy Friday, everybody. And it is a fabulous Friday. It is a fabulous week. Last couple weeks have really tried me, emotionally, and to have a great rebound week like we had this week was just absolutely amazing to me. And lots of exciting stuff going on. My phone is blowing up.
Popular guy.
No, there's a lot going on. There's just an absolute lot. But we'll get to all that stuff. But first, most important, like we do every single night, let me get some hellos in here real quick, because without you guys, none of this stuff matters. Dana Green was the first one in. Good evening to you, followed by Skanes Girl. I'll see you soon. Terminator, how are you? Let's see here. G. Johns, good to see you. You joined early. My buddy Nidos is in the house. Hey, by the way, if any, they're trying to install a solar system, and the state is telling them that they need to have a pressure test. I have no idea what that is. Do any of you guys know what that is? If you do, please comment. Let's see here. Jane, good to see you. Dan Guthrie, hello. Let's see here. The Rickster, what's going on? One step closer. How are you, bud? Hey, when are you coming up next? I know you'll be here sometime soon. Oh, Squatchy. What's up, buddy? How are you? Carrie Davis is in the house. Good to see you, my friend. Redneck, how are you, bud? Long time no see. There's American Roots Farm. They've been busy. Good to see you as well. Tina Conkle, good to see you. Leela Eubank, good to see you as well. Let's see here. Paradise Stanley. Welcome in. Kent, good to see you. My buddy Mo's in the house. Mo, how are you? The Famous Life with Mike and Jen are in the house. Good to see you. I know I'm going to see you guys soon, too. Let's see here. Rhonda Benefield, good to see you. G-John says, how do they install solar systems? Sounds complicated. Actually, they're not complicated. We've installed a good handful of them, but I've never heard of a ground pressure test. I don't even know what that is.
But solar system?
Yeah, one step closer says, I always need a blood pressure test after dealing with the government. Yeah. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Hacks, how are you? I will see you guys tomorrow. Can Squatch. Yeah, Can Squatch, they said it was a ground pressure test. And, guys, I'm not the brightest, tool in the shed or whatever, but I know a fair amount about solar, and I've never heard of it. So, anyway, Betsy De La Rosa, good to see you. Yeah, let's see. Oh, Mike and Jen told Squatchy, hey, Pete, we're in your hood.
Oh.
Yeah, Mike and Jen, Squatchy and Lazy Loper, both fabulous sets of people. If you guys have any way to meet, you guys should absolutely do it. I know you'll love each other. The greatest name on the internet,
Path Bubble Off Club,
is in the house tonight, as is Matt. Matt's going on, buddy. I'll see you soon, too. Let's see here. Oh, Pete beat me to it. Pete said, if you are, you need to come by. Yes, for sure. You guys, great folks all the way around. Okay, Mary Michelle, good to see you. Tina Conkle, hello. Yep, Hacks for the Homesteaders in the house.
Oh, One Step Closer is going to be here for the camp out.
Yep, I've seen that. Yeah, Nito says the county is requiring a ground pressure test. Rickster says for a solar hot water heater, no, for a regular solar system. The beautiful Louis Wesley's in the house. Good to see you, as is Silver Lining. Good to see you. Pete says, tag, give him my number. Roger that. Now, I won't be able to do that till after I get off the live tonight, but I'm happy to comply and definitely will go. Let's see here. Oh, there you go. Life Michael Jen says, Pete, we liquidated a bunch of stuff for gardening and such if you're interested in what we can't fit. Now, there's a connection right there. Gotta love that. Let's see here. Stephanie Terry says, hello, everyone. Haven't been able to catch you guys in a live for a while. Well, Stephanie, I'm glad you're here. Let's see here. Oh, the Palmetto Paratrooper. What's up? Grateful Hearts Ranch. Good to see you as well. Okay, and I'm going to make me a note to get Squatchy and Mario connected. Nito says, we are doing a ground mount for the solar, and our installers was told today it is a requirement. He neglected to put in the application for the county for the permit. Weird. So weird. I guess we will figure it out, right? Well, guys, there is a lot of stuff I want to talk to you guys about tonight, and some absolutely just amazing things. And it's funny sometimes when we're in this weird spot and getting our butts kicked. It's just funny sometimes, when someone just someone right just drops in your lap and says, "Hey, you're doing the right thing and you're headed in the right direction," and here's some encouragement. Right? So just absolutely amazing. Mo engineer says maybe it's like a structural mount force test to confirm it won't blow off or sink. Maybe that's a good.
They're in the desert.
That's a good guess. Yeah, I don't know. Hey, by the way, Dave and Sonia in Michigan, good YouTube channel is in the house. Good to see you guys. All right, babe. Why don't you start us off tonight?
Well, we finally have an empty baby pen. I had separated at the beginning of the spring. I had separated 2 of the turkey toms away from the flock so that I could ensure the Narragansett is the dad. So I had these 2 turkey toms inside of a baby pen, well, a enclosed pen with a run for 2 months, 3 months. And I finally got them to their final destination. I think I've had 3 potential families try to take him and his son. So Slater and son of Slater have gone to their new forever home. And then I am in the process of incubating and hatching turkeys. My very first turkey baby hatched today or last night, sometime in the nighttime. And I have 1 turkey in the brooder, and I have 13 on lockdown. Actually, I think I took 1 out because it was not viable. So 11 now on lockdown, and then another 13 on in the rotation for next week. So I am growing new turkeys. My goal for the turkeys this year is to grow ones that are Narragansett, because last year I had the slate tom and the 2 Narragansett hens, and I grew 8 hens, six hens. I grew 6 hens because I have 2 Narragansett hens. So this year I have got rid of the slate tom. Now I have a Narragansett tom. I'm trying to grow the Narragansett breed with the hens that I grew last year. So the ones that look Narragansett because of their genetics, I will keep and continue on that process. And the ones that look more slate, I'm going to
phase them out.
Give to
they'll be
forever
gifts.
homes.
They'll be gifts.
So that way, our hens that we had tried to purchase from the hatchery did not come. So it's up to me to try to grow our turkey meat for this coming year.
Hey, real quick, I want to welcome Northern Girl Hobbies in. Good to see you. Go ahead. Sorry.
So that is my turkey goal for this year. Grow my Narragansett looking flock with what I have.
I don't know if I ever mentioned it or not real quick, but Northern Girls Hobbies got a great YouTube channel. For any of you guys who are not subscribers, you should go over there, subscribe, and help to continue to support this community that joins here every single Friday. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay.
One step closer wants to know, how long does it take for a turkey to grow to butcher weight?
Well,
depends on the turkey, but
yeah. So, I mean, you can grow them to 13 pounds in a year. Then I've seen them up to 40 pounds though. Man,
not in a year though. Usually the second year, right?
I don't know. Yeah. Pippin had some birds that were massive. I mean, you try to hold one of them babies up.
Yeah, Pippin and Darren grow everything pretty good. I mean, they're good at growing things to size.
Yeah, and I'm not sure.
By the way, that's the hacks for the Homestead YouTube channel, so you guys know.
I'm not sure what kind of turkeys those were that were that big either.
Yeah.
But my hens are not that big. My toms are probably, I don't know, 20 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Probably
25. They're getting pretty good sized out there.
the ones that we just put in the truck the other day.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't pick one of those up, did you?
No, you guys had it under control. I was just opening doors.
I didn't know if you, I don't remember if you got one into the truck, but,
hey, Lazy Loper's in the house. And by the way, Lazy Loper admits that she's been on vacation. So
wonderful. Congratulations. Means you're doing it your way.
That's right. Amen.
So the turkey, the growing season for our turkeys are well on the way. We got the incubators running, and now the brooder is running.
Yep, because you got your first turkey, didn't you?
Yep.
Do you have any more since?
No, but I have one. So I put 4 chicken eggs into this batch of turkey eggs because I had space left over. And one of the turkey eggs, I have one that has a pretty good hole in it, and then a chicken egg that's pipped. So I will have at least one more turkey and one chicken
today, maybe.
Well, today or tomorrow, or yesterday was supposed to be lockdown, so the one that hatched last night was early for what I had thought. The other ones I had candled when I took off of the roller and put inside the basket, like the hatching basket. So I just picked one up and held it to the light and then put it here and then filled it all. But one of them was totally see-through. So I did not put that in there because I do not want that breaking open on accident and getting everywhere. I put that outside for the dogs. And
Gainesville's got a great point. She says, well, first you have to not kill it so it reaches maturity so that you can eat it. And especially when it comes to turkeys, the first 2 weeks of a turkey's life, they look for every single reason there is to die.
Well,
they are just not very strong when they're young. And now once they get to be a few weeks old, they're pretty tough. But
when Becky gave me her red bourbons, I had them, I let them out just to free range like the others. And they get up on top of the fence and roost. Between the 2 coops, there's a fence, and they roost right there, which just so happens to be flying distance to the 300-gallon waterer. So one morning I went out there, and there were 2 of those teenage sized turkeys in the waterer. And then the very next day there was another one in the waterer. So in like just 2 days, I lost 3 to them drowning in their own water.
Yeah, Brett says, hey guys, by the way, Brett, welcome in, says, just got on B, why are you changing breeds?
Breeds.
I don't understand.
Breeds?
Breeds?
Probably. I'm trying to grow the Narragansett breed. Just to keep a pure flock, hoping to.
Yeah, so we had, when turkeys, we had both silver slates and the Narragansett, and we've decided to try
a blue slate.
Blue slate, sorry, and we've decided to focus on the Narragansett. So we're trying to kind of breed out all the gray slate, even though the blue slate is a great breed. They're actually more, they're rarer than the Narragansett, and they're a great haired bird. But we've just decided we're going to focus on that. So
the Narragansetts are really hard to find in a brush pile. They just really blend right in. So it's good to when they're easily camouflaged into the surrounded area, then it's easier for them to hide amongst predators.
Yeah, the board kid, by the way, welcome in, says, can I win the Olympics next week? Well, I didn't know the Olympics were next week, but I am sure you can win whatever you set your mind to. Unless there's some other thing going on that I'm unaware of. Anyway, sorry. I got to keep up with the chat.
Yeah, you should.
Go ahead.
Babies, turkeys, growing. This is the year. This is the time. It's up to us.
Yep.
Got to do it. Got to do it yourself.
Yep.
Unless you can find somebody to do it for you, but
which would be better.
Well, here's the thing. If somebody else does it for you, then you don't have a say in a whole lot of stuff like feed or, pokes or
Yeah, Skane's girl says maybe put some chicken wire over the water so they can't drink. They can drink it, but they can't drown themselves. Well, the problem is what she's talking about is a cow trough.
It's for the cows.
It's big. It's for the cows to drink in. They just like to fly in it.
I don't know why. I thought of putting some kind of like, I don't know, like a floating type of thing on it, like a piece of styrofoam or something. But then I thought, well, if there's even just a hole for the cow to get their mouth in, then surely a bird would find its way into that hole.
Yeah.
And then it's, just like ice, it's going to go under, and then it's going to be my fault that it can't get,
Yeah. Hey, my good buddy Indiana Mike's in the house. Ahoy to you. Brett Boyd says, B, are turkey as bad as chickens to get in your gardens?
To dig around.
Yeah.
I don't know if they scratch like a chicken does. Chickens, man, they just really, I mound all the wood chips up really nicely around the horseradish, and they went in there and just took it all off again.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be another chore to get back in there and put it back up. And now the plants are just a little bit taller, so trying to get it in and around everything without killing the leaves as I'm trying to rake up into that is just ugh.
Yep.
Chickens, man.
There's another great YouTube channel, American Roots Farm, is in the house. Again, I'm sure you guys are all subscribers, but if you're not, go support the community. Kelly May's in the house. Good to see you. And I don't know if I'm going to say this right, but I'm going to do my best. Now, Mary, you correct me if I'm wrong, okay? So, Mary Riccioni, how would you say that?
So you did good.
Riccioni? Anyway, if I'm wrong, let me know, but Mary, welcome in. Yeah. Let's see here. Did I get everybody? Yeah, Brett says chickens will destroy a garden. Yes, they will.
I was told guineas won't.
Yep. Hey, I want to welcome in Sons of Hacks. Good to see you, my friend. And the Crunchy Mama Farms themselves are in the house.
I was also told little bannies won't dig up a garden because they're, right? Isn't that what those little tiny chickens?
Yes. And I don't know if they will or not.
Well, I guess that's not the little tiny ones. The little tiny ones are English something.
Yeah. Crunchy Mama Farms, I have some news for the live tonight that I know you will absolutely love. Love, 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 love. Yeah, Nito says turkeys don't scratch around like a chicken, but they will eat plants if they like them. Yeah. Yeah, life's good. Good?
Yeah.
Anything else?
We're working on logos.
Yeah, so
for the community building decorations.
Yeah, we're going to make sure that everyone that's put a hand in making the community building a reality, we're going to put their farm logos on the wall or their names or whatever it is. And so we're working through that process now. I don't really have time to do it now, but I have to. So we're just, trying to get through it. So
and we have somebody who is bartering time for
the signs.
So I'm excited to see what they look like.
Yep.
And if you are a person who has put a hand on the community building,
who's contributed in any way,
please send us your logo.
Yeah.
At email us.
Yeah, because what happens is if you don't send me what you want, then you get what I want you to have. And I promise you, I'm not trouble at all. I don't like to make fun of people. None of those things, right?
He's real mature about it.
Yep. Brett says, I have raised beds, not good for chickens. Was wondering about turkeys. Jen says, come on, Tag. It's easy. I know, right? And, you can't complain with being full when you just beg for your plate to be full, right? I mean, so, right, here we go. Hey, Straw54, welcome in, Mo says, my banties have stayed away from the garden so far. They do scratch the bare soil.
Banties,
sorry. What did I say?
No, yeah, sorry, that's right.
Okay. Yeah, so anyway, go ahead, Punk. I'll keep up with the text, the chat. You just keep it.
Oh, so the logos. We're getting the logos, and then you're going to put some kind of a wood backing on the
I don't know.
Sign.
I don't know.
Router it.
I don't know. What I'm going to do is look at them and then make a call.
Yeah.
Right? Because it may be something I use epoxy with. It may be something I use. I don't know. I need to, and obviously I need to, see all of that stuff.
He needs to see it.
Hey, my friend Zeg from Tennessee's in the house. Good to see you. And Rickster said, tag tomorrow, I'm expanding my chicken fenced area with the stapler I won from you years ago. It still works like it's brand new. Yeah, I love giving away tools. We're going to do another giveaway here pretty quick, I think. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm a big fan of giving away tools because tools are just, man, they're just force multipliers.
Yeah. You found a nest when you were over at the turkey coop, right? Or I mean, not the turkey coop, when you were over moving
I did,
logs.
but I took a picture of that.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yep.
Well, then I'm done because you said you had. Well,
I have all those other ones,
but you were going to save that for later. Either.
All right, excellent. Well, let's get on with stuff. Just a reminder to everybody, we have the spring celebration of life that we're going to do on April 26th, and I've mentioned this the last 3. But we'll do a potluck and a dinner, and they're going to do an herb seed starting and a brooder comparison and presentation, spring plant swap and barter town, social time and bonfire. Very much looking forward to this. And so that's coming up.
2 weeks?
Yep, shortly. 12 days later, as you guys know, Joe Salatin will be here, and I'm going to talk a lot about this tonight because there's some details that you guys may be interested in. It's pretty exciting. The Midwest Preparedness Project will be going on the 9th and the 10th. Joe will be speaking both days, but so will our own Callie and Jesse, among, Bear Independent and William Bond and some others. And so that will be going on. Like I said, we've mentioned that before. And then, hey, real quick, while I've got you guys here, I wanted to share a picture with you guys. A buddy of mine, Harry Kent Hepworth, who's usually in the office, sent me.
Usually in the office?
In the audience, sorry. Okay.
Audience.
I'm going to share this with you guys real quick. Sent me a beautiful picture. I just wanted to show you. This was right there. So this was Patrick and Bobby from the Midwest Preparedness Project, me and Harry and his beautiful bride at the Kentucky Sustainable Living Conference in Bowling Green, Kentucky that I spoke at, and he sent me this picture tonight.
Oh, I love that.
Isn't that pretty cool?
And you guys were there for EMT Shield?
Well, we had a booth there, but I was there to speak. And actually, when I was on stage speaking, him and I had some dialogue back and forth that really impacted me. And, we've been kind of friends, ever since, and it's just funny how those relationships grow and, things like that. But anyway, just thought I would share that picture with you guys. Yeah, that was at KSL. Let me see here. Okay, let's get back to trucking on here. Put that back on stage. And then July the 5th, we have our Freedom Festival, live music, professional fireworks, and more. There's lots of planning to come up on that. We haven't even begun to work on that event hardly, other than the things that I've just mentioned. But I want to get back to this one because there's some really cool things coming up. And the first thing I want to tell everybody is I cannot tell you how proud I am to be in a community that's willing to give of themselves. So we wasn't even my idea. It was another community member's idea. But we approached a local school, and it's an interesting school. It's a K through 12 public school system that was built on top of an old nuclear silo, which is pretty neat.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and so you can actually take tours down into it. But they're a very like-minded school. So, for an example, when the Fauci ouchie thing was going on, they're the only school I'm aware of that refused to mandate the masks. They were even threatened with losing funding and these things. They held their ground, didn't end up doing it. So they're pretty, like-minded. So anyway, so we approached them and just said, hey, what if we could get Joel to talk to the kids, to talk about the state of food today and what does the future of food look like? And we was just kind of a little bit of a long shot that we would go and do that. So me and 2 other community members. Now, I know one of them's on the chat. I don't want to mention their name if they're not comfortable with it. So if you're comfortable with me mentioning your name, tell me in the chat and then I will mention it. If not, I'm not going to mention it. But anyway, so me and 2 other community members went on the offense to try to figure out, could we do more with Joel than just have him give a class in the community building or sit and chit chat? Can we actually make an impact somewhere, an impact that's bigger than us? And so after a lot of conversations with the school board, with a lot of that stuff, we are presenting Joe Salatin in a full auditorium. And he's going to give a speech to the kids about the future of food and why it matters. And we've got the school board on board, we've got the administrators on board, and so we get to go try to make a difference in our future, in our youth. And it's so crazy to me; it gives me goosebumps to think about. But guys, this is a shot to really make a difference. Something so much bigger than us. We don't know what happens after this.
And this is for the middle school and high schoolers.
Yeah, middle schoolers and high schoolers. We are going to sell some tickets to just general admission. All kids will be invited for free. They won't pay anything. Parents, obviously, we're going to give a discount for that school district's parents, but we're going to sell a few tickets to help try to pay for all of it. But as I think about this more, more and more, and I have more conversations with the board, the thing they're most interested in is trying to figure out how do they provide breakfast and lunch off their own ground. So this school is a very unique place. They have 80 acres of untouched ground sitting next to the school that they own. So we're going to start the day. Okay, there you go. So I just want to make sure I got permission. So American Roots said that they're honored to be part of it. Jess has been one of my partners in this process. She has met with them with me. So this is how the day is going to go when Joel gets here. So he's going to get here in the morning. We're going to go to the school. We're going to do an assembly with the entire school. We're going to talk about the future of food. When we're done talking about the future of food, we're going to a few select. So the board members, the administrators, the people in charge of, 4-H, FFA, FHA, FFA, sorry.
Yeah.
So the ag department, some other organizations, Ducks Unlimited, some of them are going to go walk this land with Joel. And we're going to talk about setting goals on how in the world do we produce our own healthy food and stop feeding our kids out of a box. And we're going to go down this road. When we get done doing this walkthrough, we're going to sit down with Joel and the administrators, the school board, and we're going to try to put this process in motion and actually have a sustainable school. And it gives me goosebumps just talking about it. This is what we've talked about doing forever.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this for years and years about how in the world do we go make a difference that's bigger than us.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it will go. I can't promise you guys anything, but what I can tell you is we're going to go swing as hard as we can go swing. And we're going to go try to change the lives of all of those 600 plus kids in that school and really try to separate it from everything else. Because guys, I'm going to tell you something. If successful, I can put this in a lot of places. And I know enough people at high enough levels, we can really help the school go down this road. And I just cannot tell you how excited I am about this. We found a way to make it free to the school.
Yeah.
Right. This is why we're selling tickets, because that general admission is going to pay for this. So the school don't have to fund any of it. And I just can't tell you how amazing. Let me get some comments here real quick, because it's been, I don't know where I left, but let's see here. Let's just start right there. Zeg says, awesome, great idea. Silver Lining says, excellent. Northern Girls Hobby says, excellent. Tag, that's amazing. Way cool. Fantastic. Crunchy Mama Farms, I knew would love this, because if any of you guys know Crunchy Mama Farms, you got to go check them out. Fabulous human beings. Great parents. Says, wow, that's a great thing for those kids. Yep. Let's see here. Yep. My beautiful Aunt Julie Jackson says, that's amazing. It is.
Good to see you.
Yep. Absolutely. Let's see here. Dana Green says, I worked at a school one year. They feed public school kids crap. They do. But guys, we have a chance to change it. And we have a motivated school district that wants to be different.
Yeah.
Right. And guys, you want to talk about timing with the Maha movement and all of those things? This will be in little old Kansas, could be the tip of the spear of this movement. American Roots, I have you pinned to check out later and catch some videos. Excellent.
Good. You should.
Excellent. Great people.
This is the heartland. It's not surprising that this is,
Yeah. Matt says, the more you talk about it, the more awesome it gets. Guys,
absolutely.
It is.
Well, as a parent, we had a kid who would be on medication if it was up to the standard quo. We decided long ago we were not going to take that route, and we decided that a bedtime and a meal, and a good meal, instead of, they were putting packaged meals or packaged ham sandwiches, I guess, that come inside cellophane wrappers, and they would just take that entire thing with the plastic and everything and just heat them up. at the school, and then bring them, and that's what they would, every tray got one of these hot plastic, you know, sandwiches and or bagels, and they were just prepackaged, heated up stuff. It was not food. And so we long ago thought, if we just changed their diets and put them to bed at a good time, a normal, regular time every night, limited their access to the, the TVs and the internets and the iPads and those things, and got them outside, got them into a activity to keep them busy, that it just totally changes the kid. And this is where it starts. If we could teach the kid the stuff that stuff that's bright colored, and it comes in a package, and you take that package and you heat it up, and what that does, you could even take that, turn it into not just growing, you got science there, you got math there, you got health there, you've got, you could wrap the whole, arithmetic into this program. And I think that teaching the kids from the very beginning where their food comes from gives them the opportunity to make good choices in the end. So
at Crunchy Mama Farms says all of our public schools have so much land, there's no reason they couldn't grow a big part of what the cafeteria is serving. Well, you know what, Crunchy Mama Farms, if you guys are ever interested, I'd like to involve you in this project for a handful of reasons. We can talk offline about it, but I think your skill set and what you guys do could benefit them as they go through the process. Real quick, there is Crunchy Mama Farms YouTube channel, and Jen also posted American Roots right there. I know I'm way behind. I'm gonna try to get through some of these real quick here. That's amazing. When I was a kid, we had a really good school meals cooked from scratch.
Yeah.
Brett Boyd said, I really like RFK, but with his speech issues, listening to him is like nails on a chalkboard, but he's spot on. Well, again, where does this lead us, right? Because you guys know that Joel has connections to that. And I think we can really make some hay. And by the way, you guys, so you know, this story just gets better and better. Let me get through this real quick here. 4-H is nothing compared to this event. No, but what if we can change it, right? I mean, what if we can get them to look at it a different way? I mean, how amazing would that be, right? So I called Joel after getting it confirmed from the school that they're willing to do this. And I think you guys know this, but I sit on a board with Joel. So I talk to him pretty regularly. And he is so excited. And he told me, he said, I've spoken at colleges, and they all tell me that that's great, blah, blah, blah. They never do anything about it. I've never had a chance to speak to where school begins, right? To high schoolers, to middle schoolers, and this. So he is super excited. Him and I had a good conversation about, he's like, oh, I could do this, and oh, I could do that, and oh, I could do this. And so he's all pumped up about it, right? Which is also awesome. But I want to give a special shout out real quick to American Roots, because when we were in the meeting with them last,
with
the school,
okay,
she brought up, why don't we involve the video and audio class there and have them build a documentary?
Oh, that is amazing.
Of Joel's visit.
At the school.
And
record the
whole thing. Yep. Have the kids film a documentary about it.
And the walkthrough.
The meeting, the whole thing. And
that's amazing.
Right? And this is something.
Then we all can see it.
And not just that, this is something Joel can take with him. Right? This is how, guys, we change the world.
That's really
right.
Cool.
We change
and then you can put it on the Angel Network.
How awesome is that? Who knows where it goes? But I cannot wait to pull all this off. And there's a lot of work left to do. And and it's crazy. And I'm sorry to the community, because a lot of it gets dumped on them. And we scramble in a million different directions.
And nobody knows what the we don't have any idea where we're going.
Yeah. Hey, M, welcome in. Says great idea. Sons of Hacks says it would be great if they take the food scraps and feed chickens and other livestock from the food they
that would
throw
be
away.
All part of the
Sons of Hacks. This is what's so important about this. We're going to have a discussion about being sustainable. How does a school become sustainable? This is going to include eggs and beef and chicken,
milk and
and
cows.
and here's the cool thing. Did you know this school already has a greenhouse?
Yeah.
Did you know this school has a shooting club?
No.
You tell me how many schools
Sewing
still
club.
have that, right? And so it is just primed perfectly for us to be able to pull this off. It's good timing with the Maha movement. The school is ready. They're
What's
ready.
a Maha?
Make America Healthy Again.
Oh yeah.
Right. Okay, let me get
Talk
that.
about
Guys, I missed a lot of comments. I'm sorry. Moses couldn't talk well, but people listened and he changed the fate of a nation. Oh, I love that, Mo. Love that, love that. Rhonda said, I would love to see the video. Well, I promise you, if we can pull all of this off and they do a documentary, I'll get it on Fox News. I'll get it on big places because it's changing. I mean, it's a big deal. It's the tip of a spear in Make America Healthy Again, right? This is how you do it right here. And, I can't guarantee you guys how successful this will be, but I can guarantee you this. We are going to frickin' swing. We are going to swing with the biggest bat I can come to bat with. We're going to swing.
That is so exciting.
Yeah. Leela says it really does get better the more you talk about it. It does. And you know what's crazy? So we've started approaching local businesses. People are donating money. People are wanting to be involved. How do we do this more? And so now we're already starting to think about, well, wait a second. If we can get Joe Salatin there and the school is interested, I can get permaculturist. I could get Marjorie Wildcraft. I could get Jim Gale. We could get.
Well, so then we could use the funds to change the school. Is that what you're talking about? Like
no, what
the
I'm talking
school
about
is going to accept funds to do
no.
like public funding to change the
No, what
school?
they're willing to invest in building a classroom for butchering. They're willing to invest in this land. They're willing to buy cattle to feed their kids. They're willing to invest in becoming sustainable. And more importantly, our community is willing to invest our time and our energy in helping the school find a way to be sustainable. And we'll be there. We will support them. We will do everything we can. And I have good connections. I can bring in other speakers, other topics, other things, and we can really work on changing our world. Which you get enough counties out there and enough communities out there that are focused on changing just their world. We'll change the entire world. Mm-hmm. One little piece at a time, one school at a time, one church at a time. We can do it. But guys, you got to put action behind it. You got to step up and you got to say, I'm going to go do something. And I can assure you guys this, I'm going to go do something. You see here, Jen says, Jess is so smart. Kiddos are so lucky to have a teacher that actually cares about their lives and future. I could not agree more. And I was joking with her a little bit, and, she plays such a critical role because she's the bridge, right? She's an off-grid homesteader, but a teacher. And it's a beautiful thing. It's going to be hard, but it's absolutely a beautiful thing. Let's see here. Nito says high school here has 2 huge greenhouses that the students grow plant starts and sell them every year. Yep. Well, Mo in here, we were talking about what does sustainable mean. And, Mo said to me, it's where the output exceeds the input. Said like an engineer, right? So, hey, by the way, MJ from Wisconsin's in the house. Good to see you.
Hello.
Oh my goodness, guys, I have missed so many. America Root says they are already allowing me to hatch 177 eggs for science class. It's a real blessing to be able to teach kids about real life. Yeah, if you guys went into her classroom, her science classroom, there are brooders, there are incubators, there are, as she mentioned, there's 177 in there right now.
It will soon smell like poop.
Soon. Yeah, I read about the school that installed solar on the roof, and then extra power they produced was bought by the county, and the money was invested in the school. So, guys, we can do this.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
To try to use that to increase the school's productivity, because then you get more students who want to come in here. You need more classrooms. You need more funding.
And guys, funding will not be the issue. I promise you. There's $100 million on the sideline looking for things like projects like this.
To have schools grow their own food, to have
schools
barns,
to be sustainable,
milking stations.
100%. They won't have to raise taxes. We'll find the money. Right? I'm just so excited. Hey, Nurse Wang, welcome in.
What an opportunity.
What an amazing, amazing, amazing opportunity. Yeah, I cannot wait. I don't mean to rant about this, but man, talk about just a life-changing opportunity, but it's not my life. It's their life.
It's the kids.
We're going to change
the 600 kids.
Yes. And Joel's a great speaker. I don't know if you guys know much about this, but he was a journalism major. and actually worked for a newspaper for a while.
Which is why he's a good talker.
He's a good talker. He's a good writer. And it was so neat for me to be on the other end of a video call with him and to see his excitement. To see him say, I'm into this. I'm in.
He said that he had worked with other schools. Did any of those other schools put that to, was his talks about being sustainable? And
yes,
did any of those schools go forth and
none
do
of
anything
it, so
with it?
He's never spoke to an elementary, junior school, or high school. Everyone that he spoke to has been colleges.
But did any of those colleges go forth and?
No, they said, this sounds great. We don't have the money.
Oh, okay.
See, and that's the thing. We can sit around and we can say we don't have the money, or we can say is, how do we go get the money?
Yeah.
How do we figure out how to do this? Because I'm going to tell you, if they will take a step forward, I will help them. American Roots will help them. Our entire community will help them if they're willing to take that first step. We'll find a way. And I don't know what the answer is. Right? I just don't know, but we're going to figure it out. Right? And I wish I had more answers, but at the end of the day, the team in our community, we're going to sit down and we're going to work with the school board and the administrators, and we're going to do everything we can to change it. The days of opening a pastry out of a plastic bag for breakfast.
Heated even. Like the plastic is going into the food and then eating it. I mean, it's not even food, people. This is not food.
Yeah. Hey, Farm Ranch Homestead, welcome in, by the way.
Which is, why there's so much going on in the kids is, the mental health issues and the health issues and the puberty issues and the hormonal issues and let's remove some of the plastic from their situations and teach them where their food comes from and actually show them what a bottle calf is all about and what a chick looks like, when it's first hatched. And it's amazing to see a chick actually come out of an egg and you're like, how the hell did that fit in there? Especially a turkey, because they're even bigger. Yeah. But
hey, Jen from Life with Mike and Jen says, and I think it's kind of the moral to this whole story, says more importantly, it's an investment in our future. Guys, we cannot be sustainable. We cannot be perpetually sustainable. We cannot get there if we don't target the youth, because we're all going to age out. We're all going to die someday. We're all going to do that. If we are not targeting the youth with sustainability, we will never succeed. We will never
get there.
We're just never going to get there. We're not going to achieve, which is the word I was looking for.
We got to teach them. We got to get them interested in it. We got to show them the facts, but then also the fun. Yes. Because it is fun. You bond with these animals. You love them. Yes. It's my turkeys come, they chase, they know what the orange bucket is.
The American Roots says the Lord will make a way for us. He already has. The school is listening and interested in making change. Yep. Yeah, I could have said that better. I think we just have a rare opportunity, and it's funny. You guys know I have a business background, and so like when I do business things, I'm always looking for things like, is it the right timing? Right? Can I market the product? What are the hurdles? What are the risks? And I'm going to tell you guys, this will never turn into revenue for my farm or for the community or anything like that. But I cannot tell you a deal that's lined up better. The school board's on task. The administrators are on task.
There's a need.
Right. We have community members who are teachers there. There's a huge need. And then I think the environment, right, in the world today, the Make America Healthy Again, the timing is just really, really, really good.
Did you totally just see that feather flowing down like Forrest Gump? No. We don't even have a chicken by us.
Hey, hi, G Homestead. Welcome in. I'm going to get my hellos. Mo says we can't get there if we don't deal with the elderly either. 100%. 100%. Carrie Davis says, I see an Airbnb teaching opportunity for you all. 100%. Carrie, 100%. It's so let's get back to this event because this is really important too. So Joel, to Carrie's point. So what's going to happen is we're going to get done with Joel at the school probably about 1:00. And then he's going to come back to my farm, and the community here is going to gather, and with a few new people, homesteads and people that we know who we would like to get involved with the community. And we're going to hang out and, do a round table and have lots of discussion. And, we're going to eat. Oh, yeah. We're going to put on a big old spread and make sure that Joel leaves this community with the impression of this is what communities are supposed to be. And so we'll spend the time doing that. And then I will take him back to his hotel room and he'll get up and go to the Midwest Preparedness Project, and I'll see him next week. But it's super exciting, super exciting, super exciting. I have had goosebumps all week about this, and you can ask B or even Jess or whoever in here. I've been saying, man, I can't wait to talk about this on my live. I can't wait to talk about this on the live. And Northern Girl Hobby says awesome vibes happening. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Guys, we need this everywhere. You can't sit on the sideline and expect change. You cannot. Out of our comfort zone is the only place we're going to grow. If we stay in our comfort zone, we're going to help us. That's all we're ever going to help.
Yeah.
And then it was, in the end, for nothing. So I really, really, really encourage you guys to get up, get uncomfortable, and let's go change the world.
Get in the fight.
That's right. Get in the fight. All right. Did I rant enough about that?
Yeah. No, I'm excited. I mean, I would just, the more we talk about it and the more collaboration that comes in, and then people put their 2 cents in, and we're just like, whoa, that's a possibility. And then it just continues to, it's like a snowball, just like Jess said. It's like, if this is where it's supposed to go, it will, the doors will open and we will walk through them, and everything will fall into place the way they're supposed to. Our eyes will open where we need them to be, and it will be a wonderful experience. It will be a very fun journey.
Yeah. The school knows that I'm going to advertise it. They know that I'm going to talk about it on social media. They, know all of those things. And guess what, you guys? Every one of you can play a role in this. Every single one. And it might be something so simple as send them an email and tell them they're doing the right thing.
Or just share
share this video. I try not to ever ask for that. Did you ever notice that? Like I
just meant the event.
Yeah, share the event. That would be good.
May
8th. Yep. Share it. I have posted it to Facebook.
School, Jackson Heights High School.
Yep. But send them an email. Say, hey, I heard that you guys were having Joe Salatin speak to the kids and that you were talking about being sustainable. What a wonderful thing. Congratulations.
Keep up the good work.
Keep up the good work. We support you. Those things make a huge difference, because I promise you, the superintendent of the school gets a lot of heat. Right? Yeah. He gets a lot of heat, and he has stood his ground.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be those people who go, stop wasting money. Stop wasting time. Yeah. My kid doesn't need that.
Jen says, tag, I really needed to hear that right now in this moment. Good. I'm glad. And it's powerful. It's powerful to me. You guys and I preach about this stuff all the time, and I've tried to make change at the county commissioners, and we've tried to make changes at the school board, and we've tackled it, but this we have never done.
You're reaching kids, right?
Yes. We're taking it to them.
Right.
This is being on the offense.
Well, and not just the kids, because you're offering this to the public. So all of the public can come to this event.
Yeah. Yes. And who knows where it goes and what we can grow from.
Right.
But I promise you, I can't grow a single plant if I don't start the seed. Right. We don't know where it's going to go. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of weeds to pull along the way. And I'm sure this process will only get harder. But I'm in.
Yep.
You guys in?
And we don't know what it looks like. So
if you're in, I'm in. All right. You ready to get rolling?
I will follow you.
I will follow you. Yeah. Let's go kick its ass. All right. I did want to share this one other thing with you, and this was from the school, and this is them talking about what they want. And so what we're going to do is we're going to help them achieve their mission, and it is to demonstrate to themselves and others the creation and fostering of a healthy food culture for students through the utilization of education, resources, hands-on experience to grow and produce the food needs for the school. So guys, we're going to help them. When I think you guys, this is where the deal gets even better. They want the kids to do it. This becomes education. It's not just about feeding the students. It's about teaching the kids to create their own food. The kids will be maintaining it. The kids will be working on it. And obviously there's a teacher and there's all of those things, and we get a chance to really change the way they think about food. man. Now look at all this. M says, I'm in. Yep. Nito says, as a society, we have been so far removed from where food comes from. Yep. Skane says, I'm in. And again, Danny Green says, I killed my plants.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. All right, let's get trucking. I'll leave.
Carrot. You remember that carrot story?
Mm-hmm.
You remember the carrot story? We had a woman who called. I have a woman friend who called and said, when did the carrots show up?
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
When did the carrots show up? And I said, what are you talking about? When did the carrots show up? She's like, I got this big, beautiful bush.
Yeah.
And there are no carrots on it.
Yep.
I'm like, the carrot is under the ground. And she's like, what do you mean the carrot's under the ground? And I'm like, that big, beautiful bush is the back end of the carrot. The carrot is the root. It's under the ground. And she goes, this bush is one carrot. I said, I don't know. Pull it up and see what you got. And she was like, sure shit, I've got one carrot. I was like, well, you thought they grew on a bush? And she was like, well, I didn't know. Yeah, I guess I thought they grew on a bush. And that's just the thing. If you don't know, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So,
if you don't know, you don't know. But we get a chance to help them know.
Yes. And with 80 acres, I mean, they should be able to grow their protein, their vegetables.
Yes.
Even if they can't grow their grain, they could get grain. They could still be making the bread instead of buying those pre-made bagels.
Yep. And, I'll say to our entire community up here, close in and far out, if you're willing to get involved, if you contact me, I will find a way, because this has to happen. Somehow this has to happen. Crunchy Mama Farm says, Tad, we need to talk next week. I just booked a booth yesterday at the Texas Ag Teachers Conference in July. Excellent. Yes, you have my cell phone. Call me. If I can help in any way, I absolutely will, because we need this to go on everywhere.
I was going to say, not just our schools here, but if we could have, like the Michelle Obama lunch program, instead of doing something like that, maybe we could do something like, hey, let's grow some food and teach our kids where their food comes from, show them healthy options and what to do with it, and then have them make it. Yeah. What's the best? They learn how to grow it, and then they learn how to cook it, and then they can feed themselves. You teach a man to fish, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Where we at? Let's talk about the community building real quick. So you guys, there's a thing called the ripple effect in homesteading, right? And so, right?
The ripple effect.
So because we've got Joel coming down, because we've got the spring festival coming, because we've got the summer festival coming, because we have all of these things going on, tomorrow we will have a community rotation day here at my farm. And I will
at the community
community building. I will farm it. I will film it for you guys, and I'll release a video on the next community rotation. Be done here at the building. It's going tomorrow. We're going to cut up some wood, paint some walls, clean the community building, get some stuff installed. We're going to do a whole bunch of things. I've got 100 items on the list for us to do tomorrow in being able to get ready for all of this that's about to come. So it's real easy to say, hey, yay, this is great, we're going to go do this, but now the actual work has to be done, right? And so we're going to go start that process tomorrow. It'll be a big, long day. It will be tiring, but we're absolutely going to get it done. And then all of us get to benefit from it, because, again, later on in that day, Joel's going to be back at the farm, and we're going to be able to hang out and kind of go through.
So we're basically getting the community building ready for Joel's visit.
Yeah, yes.
And the area, they've been moving dirt, making a parking lot so people can park.
Yeah.
Instead of walking all the way down the hill.
Yeah. Real quick, get some comments real quick. Tag, out of 5 children, I have 3 that grow their own food, and they are good at it. I started them when they were able to walk and help in the garden. Yeah, we got to do more of that,
you
right?
got to teach them. That's how they do.
Yeah.
That's how they learn.
Yeah. Hey, look at that. We got royalty in the house. King, Jeff, Juicy, Hefty, Lefty, Mud Dauber, Amazon, Slick is in the house. Gypsy's coming over tomorrow with his tractor and his grapple, and he will be on brush duty tomorrow, which is pretty cool. Helen says that's in the town of Holton, Kansas. Yes, it is. Yep. Utah, Rick. Okay. here we go. Let's talk about what we got going on. So I got her stove
Oh,
installed. All right.
Yes.
It's pretty cool.
And it fits.
Yep.
It looks great.
Got everything hooked up. Now they're going through the process of cleaning it. We bought
Yeah.
this from a church and last year. And then we shipped it out and had everything rebuilt in it and all of that. And so we finally got it. So they've got to clean it and all that. But that is our.
We had the guy that we got this from said that he got it from a church, but he had this in his house. And when we took this from him, we put it in the front yard for a week and then took it to the plumber, came and got it. And he said the little oven didn't work. There were paper wasps nests in every, what was the thing? Regulator, I think he said. He had to replace all of the regulators.
But
and
cool.
He got everything working. So the griddle, the 6 burners, and both ovens are all functioning.
Yeah, which is cool.
And
right?
all of the parts are new. So
Hack says, "Hey, Tag, do I need my saw tools?" Yes, you do. There's a lot of logs that came out of the pond that we're going to cut up into firewood. We got a lot of processing to do. There's just a lot of stuff to do. But yeah, there'll definitely be a lot of hours spent on the chainsaw. And equally important, you keeping everything running like you normally do in a proper manner, right?
Because he's the guy that he's the guy that can keep everything running.
Yeah, Northern Girl Hobby says stove looks gorgeous installed. Beautiful job.
I'm going to see if I can get the burners sandblasted, and that way we don't have to try to. They're pretty rusty.
Yeah. Hey, Rickster, I don't remember off the top of my head. Text me and I'll look it up for you. All right, let's keep it trucking. So check this out. So guys, I was so excited. So I got the sink in, I got the water's working, I got the stove in, and woohoo! And now I'm off to hot water. So I had an on-demand propane hot water heater. It was hanging in Bethany's processing kitchen, her little one that we're not going to use for that anymore because we don't need to. We have the community building. So I took it off the wall and got it all hooked up, flipped the valve, and water everywhere. And this is why.
Yeah, that's like paper thin.
Yep, look at that. So then I'm like, so B had to order me another water
fix
heater.
That? Can't you solder that like closed?
You maybe could
Pop
braze
it
it
down
closed
there.
to that, but I don't want to go through all that, babe, and it not work. So
I think you can fix it.
we ordered this exact same one. So yeah, it froze. Exactly, Nito. Sometime in one of the winters, it was hanging on the wall and it froze, popped the line, and that's that. And so the good news is I'll keep the parts for the parts. But isn't that lovely? Absolutely lovely. Moving on to B's greenhouse. Look at all those beautiful plants.
Stuff is coming up.
Yep. You want to tell them what any of that stuff is, and I'll just kind of flip through these.
The cucumbers and pumpkins. That's tobacco right there. The little ones in the center. I had taken the crumbles from when I got that one tobacco plant. I had crumbled all the little pieces and the little seeds that fell to the very bottom. I have in an envelope, but all of the debris that was on top is what I sprinkled across the top of this growing pan, and they started to grow. So as that cluster started to grow, I started to pluck them from them and then transplant them out and around the areas so that as they get bigger, I can use them as individual plants. But didn't you say that tobacco was a attractor plant, sacrificial plant?
Yeah, sacrificial plant. The bugs like it. Right.
Oh, and it is sticky. When you go to harvest the seeds, the pods, the leaves are they make your hands gummy. Probably the nicotine in there. But and then those tomatoes back up in that top
and you
tray.
got pumpkins there.
Yeah, those are pumpkins, and then cucumbers and cucumbers. Those are two different kinds of cucumbers.
What about all those?
Why they're different cups. Those are tomatoes and chard.
Yeah. Yeah, we're still a month away from these going
tomatoes.
To the ground, right?
Yeah, tomatoes and peppers and pumpkins, and we'll put those out Mother's Day. But here coming spring break, we have a week off of.
Spring break's already over.
I'm sorry, what's coming up? what's coming up? Easter.
Easter.
So Easter
Okay.
is coming up, and we will try to get those into the ground that week, Easter week, somewhere in there.
Yeah, Hanks Raw 54 said we had snow flurries on Tuesdays. Almost always get 3 to 6 inches around Easter.
Yeah.
No, thank you. So what's this be?
Oh yeah, that's that. So this it's all like distort.
Well, it's because I stretched the photo to fit the.
This is a turkey
egg.
nest that you found in a wood pile.
Yeah, I had to move a bunch of logs today.
Logs.
Because we're going to process them tomorrow. These are what are the final logs that come out of where we built the pond. I don't want to mill them because of the kind of wood they are or whatever it is. So we're going to go ahead and process them into firewood.
So they've been down for like 4 years.
3 for sure. And so they're ready to go. But when I was over there getting ready to move them all, we found this turkey pops out of this hole and walks away. This little Narragansett turkey, and kind of there's an egg. So I called B, and she came running down.
Yeah, I did, but I didn't know if that egg. She might have just laid that egg, and it might have been there for a couple of days. I have no idea.
Yeah, who knows? So let's tell them what's going on here. These are your pictures.
So yes,
the tank one's hilarious.
Oh my gosh! So this is where the 2 turkey toms were, and when I got them to their new home, now I'm able to go inside this pen and where the turkeys were. So when I went in there, a bird flew overhead, and I looked up, and there are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 11 eggs up on top of the water tank. That there's a bird going up there, at least 2 different birds, because there's 2 different colored eggs there, going up on top of the tank, which is like, what is that? 5 inches, 6 inches?
Yeah, it's 8 feet off the ground.
And poking its butt in there and dropping its eggs. Yeah. I cannot get up in there. We had taken hardware cloth and like wrapped it around.
We can get in there.
Those 2.
We have to get in there. That's going to smell. If you guys remember, I put a 35-gallon tank up in the rafters so that we could gravity feed water without risking losing all the water if something breaks. So we have 2 375-gallon tanks that pump. You just flip a switch and it pumps water up into this tank.
Well, it will.
Yeah, well, it did until you broke it.
The pump filled. Yeah.
Yeah, but she has another pump. I just haven't put it in. But anyway, you pump it up in there. That way, when it gravity feeds the waterers, if somebody breaks a head to one of the waterers or something, your maximum risk is 35 gallons. Yes. Instead of risking all 400 gallons, which we don't, really want to do.
Correct. That. Well, and then that other one has, I found the turkey turkey hen is sitting up on top of the sink, and she's got 8 turkey eggs underneath her.
Hey, the real life trad wife is in the house.
I did get your message, and I will respond just as soon as we get out of here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. Let's keep it trucking. Okay, so talk about some projects that we have for tomorrow. So, guys, this is from the front door of the community building looking down onto the pond. So those piles of dirt, I dug those up out of the edge of the pond, and I love doing that, right? If you need dirt, dig it out of your pond gets bigger. I mean, it's like you get a double win out of it. So anyway, I dug that stuff out of there. The black dirt is full of big, basketball-sized rocks. And so I want to separate the black dirt, the rocks and the black dirt, and then I'll use that black dirt as topsoil.
How big are the rocks?
No, they're, this big and, basketball, maybe a little bit bigger. And so we'll separate that. The more lighter colored dirt we'll use for backfill. I've got some places to backfill. I'm going to put a culvert in and a new road in on a place that's low tomorrow, which will work out real good. Hey, Northern Growth Hobby says that off-grid water video setup is fantastic. Thank you very much. I actually learned a mistake I made. And that's going to hurt it. It's going to run just fine, all of that stuff. But I would have reordered it if I'll do another video. Tamara Smith, welcome in, by the way. So we're going to do that. So see these logs down here? These are the logs that
oh, did you just put all those?
Yeah. These are the logs that egg was in, and I moved them all down here. So we'll cut all of them up. Those will all be firewood. Those little crates, you guys see to the right, there's that little crate. So I use those IBC totes. I cut the lids off of them, fill those full of trash. They go to the dump, and then the crates, that's where I store my firewood. And I've got a whole bunch of them. I probably have 20 empty ones that we'll bring down So we cut this up. We'll bring the log splitter down. We'll cut it up into pieces. We'll split it into logs. We'll fill it in. I'll haul it to the top of the house. And again, we've got a great start on our winter wood. I've probably already got a year put up, but it's nice to be a year or two ahead. And so we'll process all of those. If you look in the background, there's a couple down trees in the back. We'll get those in there too, right there, babe. See those? We'll get those. Another one over here too. But anyway, we'll get those wrapped up at the exact same time. If you guys can see, you probably can't see real good, that tall cedar tree that's fairly close to B and I at the bottom. There's a couple trees right there that are laying down. So we'll get those taken care of also. Here's our burn pile. So we're going to have a bonfire. We've been working on the pile. This is just all the debris, right?
And it's tall.
It's tall. It may not look like it looking in this picture, but that is a big pile.
How tall is that?
It's taller than I am. I mean, it's probably,
at least.
Yeah, 10 feet tall probably. It's up there. So assuming that the weather will permit, we're going to torch that thing.
And it's pretty wide too.
I've got a bunch of these piles of brush laying around. You guys can see the community building in the background that I've got to get cleaned up, and we're just going to put them on the burn pile. So we'll be picking them up with the grapple and, we ain't going to do nothing. The king himself has decided that this is a job perfect for him. Oh. So he'll be working on that, during the day. Let's see here. So one of the things we're doing with that lighter colored dirt, you guys can see I'm building a crossing, and this is at the inlet of the pond. And it kind of goes down in a big dip. It gets really soppy. And so I have some concrete culverts I got to get moved. So we just thought we'd put a couple of them down there and build a road. I took this picture today. This is Joe himself manhandling some dirt. So we're going to build a whole road in while we're at it.
So will those pipe hold that skid loader weight?
Oh, yeah. It will have no problem.
How heavy is that skid loader?
10,000 pounds.
Okay. So every car we have is like,
oh, yeah. Yeah, you'll never have any problem. But how cool is it that you get to take dirt that you got to get rid of, culverts you got to get rid of, and you actually make something out of them while you're working, right? So it's like you get a double benefit out of it. I get the area cleaned up, but at the same time.
Well, then you don't have to walk through the mud to get down there either.
Yep. David Strom says UV light, laugh out loud. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yep. I was talking about how I would have changed it around a little bit. It has to do with the UV light. Yeah. David, I follow a lot of his stuff on social media. He's a really smart guy. Anyway, very cool. Hey, Cross says, looks like you could use a little rain. We could definitely use some rain. That is for sure. But very exciting.
We just got a little bit of rain.
Yeah, but it was so little. The good news is if you guys look like in this picture here, you can see my overflow pipe clear on the other side. My ponds are full. Yeah.
They could be a little fuller.
Maybe
they're not overflowing.
Maybe a foot.
But they're not down too far.
No, they're pretty full. I mean, they're up towards the top, so we're not doing too bad.
I see what you've done with the rocks, though. You're stacking them right there, so there's no longer a walking.
There's actually, if you looked at it from the other side, we built stairs.
Oh,
so you'll be able to walk right down in there. But yeah, we're going to build a rock wall right there, and then as I bring that dirt across, it'll flatten out.
Oh, that's going to look nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't bury the rocks.
No, I did not bury. I don't want to bury the rocks. Right. Let me get rid of that there. Apparently, we're done with that, which is pretty cool.
Job.
Let's see here. Terminator says, tag, I'm mulching all of my tree branches from all of the wood I'm cutting. Good. Yeah, good. I've got a big commercial mulcher, but we're just going to, a lot of these that have been sitting a long time. I don't like to mulch dry wood very much. I'd rather mulch the green stuff. It just mulches so much better. But we'll maybe do some of that. Too many rabbit holes. Would you ever build another house on your property for extended family? You bet I would. Me and B have talked, David, a lot about finding a young family who just financially can't homestead and mentoring and, bringing them in and, maybe making something permanent, long term if it worked out. Because, again, B and I are going to age out someday, right? And this life's a hard life. We get up and work all day, every day, right? I mean,
yep.
That ain't for the weak stomach. I promise you.
And you have got to be agile. I'm like, I'm going to get up and I'm going to work on whatever. And then he's like, oh, we're going to go clean out a storage unit. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go clean out a storage unit. And I'm like, I'm going to work on the iron in that shirt. And he's like, nope, you got to go get me paint. And I'm like, I'm going to go get you paint. That's what I'm going to go do. So you have to be able to just kind of go
Yeah.
with what has to happen, because there's times where you're just like the chick. And I'm like, oh, chick 3. Chick is supposed to be on lockdown for 3 days. They're going to be hatching on Monday. Nope. Hatched on Thursday night. Like, okay.
Yeah.
That's just how
But
it happens.
things just change. And
Yes.
I tell people this all the time,
Go
that
with the
maybe the measurement of being a great homesteader isn't how well you grow food, but it's how well you bounce between obstacles. Because at the end of the day, there's lots of them. I mean, let me give you guys an example. Today, I was out moving dirt with my skid loader, and it starts acting really funny, like it was being starved for fuel. Again today. And so I limped it back up to the house, and I've got a really good buddy of mine who's a mechanic, and although I could have changed that, but I just called him real quick and said, hey, it's acting like it's starved fuel. He said, hey, I'm close. I'll be right by. So he came over. Next thing I know, he drives it down to me and it's fixed.
What, he just changed the fuel filter?
Yeah, didn't charge me anything, just fixed it for me. And now we're back, and roaring again, Let's see here. Northern Girl Hobby says, due for a good burn pile here at the property, we have a pile of rain coming. Better get on this weekend. Yeah, David says, I often think about legacy. Yeah. Yeah, and I've got, kids, and, I would love them to take over this life. But if they choose not to take over this life, I would rather just give it to a family that would. Because at least in that case, the dream of sustainability continues, for years and years and years, instead of it just being sold at some auction someday.
To somebody else.
And coming from a guy who don't really value money that much, because it's such a scam. But anyway, I'm going to rant on that. But I really want to see it live forever. And I want to see this community live forever. We've talked a lot internally about the community, about being sustainable, and that means forever. Well, that means you got to get young all the time. And that means you got to do those things or it won't last. Right. So I hope we're successful at that. Hicksraw 54 says we are not getting our normal April showers and none in the near future forecast either. I was watching Max Velocity today, and there's a couple storms they're expecting to come through my area at least. Yeah, David says make health a priority. Yeah, I think the thing about being healthy is being active.
Being active?
Active. Yeah. Because I think if you're active, then that takes a lot of it. Your core body strength remains, all of that stuff. Now, obviously eat good, right? But I think if you're active, have a decent diet, and here's the other thing, not a lot of stress, right? The negative kind of stress. Like I have plenty of stress, but it's all positive stuff. Northern Girls Hobby says lists upon list, getting things done. Check for sure. Yep. Hey, look at that. Distraught Moth is in the house. What's up, buddy? How are you? Yeah, welcome in. All right. Anything else you want to add to all of that, Pumpkin?
Nope.
Oh, look at this. Northern Girl Hobby says, we don't have children. The legacy will be a tough call. Well, the thing is, you can't take it with you. And, Northern Girl Hobbies, I don't know how old you are, but I'm going to tell you, if you want the life to continue, you've got to find a way, right? And I'm telling you guys, I would absolutely 100% give my farm away, to the right set, the right deal, because at the end of the day, if it could live forever. Now, again, I hope my kids do it, right? That would be my number one preference. However, I would not be opposed to it in any way because, again, I think finding a way to make this whole idea of community and this whole idea of sovereignty in a community and, this whole idea of, taking it to the schools and taking it to the commissioners and doing those kind of things gets to live, forever. I hope. At least that would be my goal. So we're an hour and 13 minutes in. Anything else you want to say? And then we're going to get on to the good news.
No, let's do some good news. Do you need to turn on the light? You good?
You want me to turn on the light? Let's get those. You guys like that better? Yeah, it's funny, they're when we first start our lives and, when it gets dark earlier, we get up here and it's dark the whole time and we leave lights on. And then as you get in the summer, we don't have any lights because it stays light till 9 o'clock. And so we're somewhere in the middle, of all of that. G. John says everything in moderation, exercise, good food, good sleep, controlled stress, etc. Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Yeah. And Northern Girls has got 45 nieces and nephews. That's a lot. Tag, I use my non-trash burn pile for my fire pits. Yeah. So we have some burn barrels we use, but typically we just stack all of the, burnables, brush, those kind of things in a big pile. And when it
Not
gets,
like household trash. It's
no,
more, it's
no,
building wood,
no,
2x4s and
no.
such.
That's actually something B and I could get a lot better at is trash management, which is not something we are great at. We have a dumpster here, so it's easy to just
We
take
just
trash to
got
the
a
dumpster.
dumpster.
Right. It's easy to do that, But anyway.
We have so many people that come through here that it's hard to. I mean, we have a trash bag full every day.
Yeah.
Of whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, we get lots of visitors at our farm, and there's people who come and stay a week and camp in a camper or whatever it is, and then you get all the festivals coming up. We have some great friends that live all over the country who come in and spend a week or two with us, which we're so blessed to have.
Mm-hmm.
And we get out there and get
Or
work
months.
done, and, yeah, and those kind of things. But like I said, I love that. David says, "What about cardboard?" So B has used cardboard in the past on her walking lanes, like in her gardens, underneath mulch. Things like that. We use a lot of that stuff too to start fires. Like I actually prefer starting a fire with cardboard over starting a fire with paper because it burns longer. And if you can get it going good, just my own, again, personal preference, but I like cardboard to start fires. Let's see here. Northern Girl says, I'm 45 years old, got 45 nieces
Not
and nephews.
45 nieces or nephews. That would be crazy.
Oh, okay.
I've got 15 nieces and nephews, and I'm the baby of 7.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Dude, 45 would be like,
I have 45 first cousins.
Yeah. That's funny. All right, let's get some good news, huh? All right, let's see here. So there was an interesting thing happened this week. I don't know if you guys are following the markets. You guys know I follow them closely. The markets were down. I'll talk a little bit about this later too. We're down, down, down. And then Trump came out and said it's a great time to buy. He also, at the same time, announced big tariffs on China, and the market rallied. And so there are been back up. So he added the tariffs to China, but he also did a 90-day pause on tariffs everywhere else. So you got the president of the United States saying, this is a great time to buy. And then he paused tariffs and the market skyrocketed. So there's a lot of people saying that, he did that to make his rich buddies money because, of course, the market climbs. Who knows what's true? Representative Stephen Horsford said, I'm asking questions we all want to know. At 9:37 a.m., Trump told his followers to buy stocks. The market was tanking. The trade rep was set to defend harmful tariffs. Mid-hearing, Trump flips, no warning. Not even his top trade official. This isn't leadership. This is chaos. The Dow surges over 2,900 points in its biggest single gain in history, which, by the way, is not true. They reported it as the single biggest gain, but I'll show you guys here in a little bit. It was actually the third highest gain in history, not the biggest. U.S. stocks are heavily spiking after President Trump announced 125% tariff on China and 90-day pause on countries who reached out to negotiate. NASDAQ is almost up 10%. China is now firmly in President Trump's crosshairs. Just announced the U.S. stock market added $4.8 trillion after President Trump raised China's tariffs to 125% effective immediately with Trump's 90-day pause. So the markets themselves, if you guys look, I found this so fascinating to me. So if you look at the first one, this was updated on April the 9th. So today's the 11th, so 2 days ago. And if you look, they say that extreme fear is driving the market, and they actually rated it as a 3. And this was at 8:19 Eastern time. Okay, by 9:47 Eastern time, the extreme fear had gone up to a 4, and we were no longer down. Like, for example, in the Dow, 762 points, we were down 165 points. And in fact, the NASDAQ had made a small bounce. By the end of the day, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 2,962 points, or almost 8%. Today, the markets, again, that was 2 days ago. So today, the markets were also up another 600. So it looks to me like there's some optimism out there, right? But I want to really caution you guys, the markets do not dictate what's really happening. I promise you they don't, right? The markets are super manipulated. Every single thing they told us as young people as we were going to school no longer really applies. And so I don't look at the market as really a huge indicator. Obviously, it's something to, take a look at, but it's not. Let's take a look at the other things that drive. Real quick, let me do this real quick first. So remember I talked about it wasn't the biggest gain. So the April 9th, 2025 gain was 9.5%. So it was the third highest. But what's interesting about this graph is if you look at the biggest days,
2008,
2020, 1987, these are all big catastrophe times, right?
Oh, yep.
Where they had these big gains. And I thought I would also share with you guys, because I'm pretty anti the market most of the time. If you look at the returns on the S&P 500 in year 1, 3, and 5, after these days like this, you'll look, there's a lot of really nice returns, 155%, et cetera, et cetera. Although I personally am not getting in the market today, I can tell you that, and I'm not giving financial advice. Okay, so other things, the consumer confidence index, if you look, is at a low at 92.9. This is actually its lowest point since about 2020, 2021, when, the whole Fauci ouchie stuff was going on. Credit card debt has hit another high. So the average home today is carrying $6,380 in credit card debt. If you look at the core retail sales indicators, that would be the bottom left-hand side. That long red box is retail sales. Consumer spending makes up nearly 70% of the entire U.S. economy. And so you got retail sales down, you got consumer confidence down, and you've got debt at an all-time high. One Step Closer says stock markets are a trailing indicator at best. Consumer and producer sentiment are much more important to me. Exactly, which is why I'm showing exactly that, right? Is credit card debt adjusted for inflation? I do not believe these were. But that would be really, really interesting to know. Yeah, I don't know. G. John's, good question. Yeah. Nito says, well, at least the senators and House reps made good money. Yeah, they do, right? What else is going on? Affirm. One of the things I like to do is track Amazon, because I think Amazon is one of the early indicators for everything, right? You'll see it at Amazon first. Amazon sells 40% of all online goods in America today. And so if it's going to happen, if there's something going on, you'll see it in Amazon. Now, the company Affirm is kind of a buy now, pay later company. It's where when you buy stuff through Amazon, a lot of times Affirm is the company you use. And I found this graph to be especially interesting, because if you look at active consumers, there are 18.6% more consumers in 2024 than there was in 2023. So people buy now, pay later, right? Follow me?
Yeah.
Revenue is up 48% in the buy here, pay here world, right? The number of transactions are up 22%, and the gross merchandise volume is up 31% over the year. And again, this is the buy here, pay later, program. The University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index, which I found this one super interesting. And again, it's just looking at what does the people think. If you guys look at this is the graph top right. If you look at all of the dips, they're in those gray lines, right? So you've got, the 1980s in there. You've got the 2000s, right? You got 2008 in the housing bubble. You got 2020 in the the Fauci ouchie. You got all of those big dips. All came out of recession, except this one. So does that mean we're going to a recession? I'll let you decide. The national average for a 30-year fixed mortgage is now around 6.73%, while the best offers are closer to 5.9%. So the best offers we're getting today are about 6%. G. John says bond market wags the stock market in a day-to-day. Amazon and transports are good indicators of the economy in a week-to-week. Yeah, I really like Amazon. I think Amazon really tells us a lot. But transports is a good one too. Let's see here. New single-family home sales have begun to drop, are down 10.5% compared to the same time, a year ago. So we're seeing,
Wow,
that's a big number.
That is
a big, big number. The U.S. housing market overview, if you look, let's see here, the average mortgage today is $324,000, which is down 5.7%. So I think we're seeing some signs of the housing market having trouble. Existing home sales dropped 4.9% in January of this year, the seventh straight month of declines. So in February and March will be declines as well. So it's actually 9 straight months of declines in existing home sales. Unsold inventory has climbed to a 4.2 month supply, up from 2.9 months the year earlier, according to the National Association of Realtors. Let's see here. One Step Closer says we've been in a recession Government spending has hidden the fact. 100% agreed. I didn't get the Amazon Visa. I read the fine print and they mentioned credit checks whenever they want. No, thank you. The federal government has announced over 62,000 job cuts in just the first 2 months of 2025. And you know this because we've been watching the Doge thing, right? They're laying off 10,000 full-time employees and shutting down 5 regional offices. That's about 25% reduction in staff as part of the wider push to cut costs. The Department of Health and Human Services, it had previously expected the U.S. economy. I'm sorry, that the cuts were Health and Human Services. Next. It had been previously expected that the U.S. economy would grow by 2.1%, but now the expectations have slowed to 1.7%. And depending upon who you ask, there are people who are talking about negative numbers as far as their expectations, as far as it growing. So none of that looks good to me. Indiana Mike says, I think a firm is a predatory lending company. Yeah, well, and they're lending a lot. Numbers are up pretty much across the board. All right, what else we got going on? President of the United States. Let me have one of them.
Right here.
I got a tickle in my throat. Oh, thank you, baby.
You're welcome.
Where'd you read that? You even see that?
I can't even see that.
The President of the United States has said Iran will not have. No, I read it right here. Right? The President of the United States said Iran will not have a nuclear weapon, and he is serious. Iran knows he's serious, they claim. Officials in Netanyahu's government have voted in favor of military action against Iran. U.S. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham claims that Iran has sufficient amounts of weapons-grade uranium to make 6 big bombs. They will use it. Iran is very close, assembling 6, he says again. They will kill Israel. They will come after us. Talk about fear. You guys hear this before? Weapons of mass destruction? Anybody ever hear that before? China came back and said, which I found super interesting. China said, touch Iran and you're going to lose Taiwan. China's siege drills weren't about Taiwan. They were about warning Washington. Strike Iran and we'll erase Taiwan. Straight message backed by firepower. While the U.S. plays threats, China plays the end game. Trump on Iran, if military action is needed, we're going to take it. And Israel will be involved. I don't know if you guys are following this whole Iran thing, but I mean, they have a 300,000 troop buildup over there now. We have a 30% of our B-2 stealth bomber fleet over there now. We have 3 aircraft carrier strike groups over there now. You're not moving all of that stuff over there for nothing. I mean, you know how much money it takes to do that? I mean, that is a big deal. Indiana Mike said, next thing you know, people will be financing their lattes. You know what's funny, Indiana Mike, is did you know for the first time in history, DoorDash allows you to finance your burrito? And everybody listen, I have no room to judge anybody. I'm not going to judge anybody. But if you're financing your burrito,
like putting it on their credit card.
Yeah, that's just really bad. It's really, hey, conservative friends, how are you? Because I've maintained that flyover country between Appalachia and the Rockies has been in a recession for several years now. I agree. All right, where are we at? 127. White House press secretary confirmed that a 104% tariff on China that took effect at 12 p.m. Eastern time today after China failed to lift its 34% tariff. Okay, so what happened was Trump first came out and he said, hey, I'm going to put a 34% tariff on China. China came back and said, we're going to give you another 34%. Trump said, okay, then I'm going to give you 104%. And the story goes on. China then announced that it will impose additional 84% tariff on U.S. imported goods. So now America did a 34, China did a 34, America did 104, China did an 84% tariff. You see, the press secretary went on to say it was a mistake for China to retaliate. When America is punched, it punch backs even harder. Well, funny thing, Xi Jinping then announced a 180% tariff on U.S. goods. So basically, it's 300 or 400% by the time you're done, right?
Yeah, so we're not going to be getting stuff.
Xi can only stay supreme leader if people are employed. America is the number 1 economy on earth with all the cards. We will not have that forever. It's time to squeeze Chinese heads into the wall. This is a very interesting statement to me because by saying America is the number 1 economy on earth and has all the cards, but we will not be that forever, I think says, okay, they know they can't do it forever, which may be why they're even doing it, right? Let's see here. Jijon says, not following how Iran is tied to Taiwan. China doesn't want to erase Taiwan. No, I think it's more saber rattling. And what they're saying is because Iran, is an ally to China, and if you strike Iran, we'll go ahead and strike Taiwan. Iran said, not U.S., they were getting a stockpile near weapons grade. It can be converted to weapons very quickly. Yeah, David says, but burritos are awesome. Yeah. How about some freeze-dried burritos? Northern Girl Hobby says, I see the tariffs going in the same way as the Cuban trade embargo. Yeah, Nito, this is a really good point. Says, man, we need to get our manufacturing back up and running. Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, that's the one thing I don't like about this whole plan is why didn't they do that first? Because what I would have done is I would have gotten at least a chunk of my manufacturing up and running before I went.
Yeah, that's going to be years.
Well, I understand, but if it took you 2 years to get a bunch back, and then you did all these things, maybe he was afraid of the midterms. I don't know. Can't call it. You guys see the big story about China-owned GNC stores operating on U.S. military bases sparks national security concerns. So all of the GNCs that are on military bases are owned by Chinese people. Now, I don't know about all of them, but a huge chunk of them are. Trade war alert, China vows to fight the end over Trump's tariffs, accuses U.S. of economic blackmail. China's central bank has instructed the state-owned banks to cut back on U.S. dollar purchases, signaling a shift in strategy. This move comes as the U.S. dollar hits its strongest point against the yuan since 2007, as one of the world's largest holders of foreign reserves. The last time Trump initiated a trade war against China during COVID-19 was purposefully released from a lab, according to him, derailing his tariff plan and costing him the election. I did not know that he was going to attempt to do this before the whole Fauci-ouchie stuff was going on. But if that's true, maybe they did it partly to stop him from doing it. I don't know. If China shuts off the supply of pharmaceuticals to the U.S., you would see millions of psychotics forced to go off their meds cold turkey and be literally driven insane. It would be devastating to the Democrat base. Yeah, again, that's why I think I would have tried to get some of the manufacturing, up and running first.
Maybe he thinks that he can get it done faster this way.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. This should be interesting, but I think there is a significant threat of war with China and Iran, maybe even Russia. There's some stuff going on there too. But either way, it doesn't change my plan in any way. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep trying to get sustainable, right?
Yep.
So the foreign minister of Norway says the tariffs could violate the articles of NATO treaty that orders members to promote economic stability. The European Union, Callas, says if you stop China, you stop Russia, and claims that the European Union will be happy to join the U.S. in a fight with China now. Interesting. Let's see here. Crunchy Farm says, bird flu is currently shutting down schools in China. Wonder if the release has already occurred. Oh, is that scary? Taiwan has agreed to drop all tariffs on the United States, joining India, Israel, Vietnam, and Cambodia, who also intend to zero out their tariffs. Over 50 countries have called to negotiate with Trump so far, breaking with the mandates of the European Union. And if you guys remember, the head of the European Union said that they have ways to force countries to play ball. You guys remember we talked about this last week. But anyway, Meloni, from Italy, went ahead to defy European Union and has scheduled a visit with Trump to negotiate terms on Italy's own terms. So Italy has now come to the board and said they want to negotiate. Ursula von der Leyen, which is the leader of the European Union, says, we took note of the announcement by President Trump. We want to give negotiations a chance while finalizing the adoption of the European Union countermeasures that saw strong support from our member states. We will be putting them on hold for 90 days. Spain is pushing for the European Union pivot to China to counter Trump's tariffs. So Spain's looking to China to be a partner instead of the United States. But I think it's interesting that a lot of countries are saying, hey, let's negotiate. Maybe it's a good thing. Live with Micah Jen said, I definitely think the midterms are going to be hot if the economy tanks. All right, let's keep it trucking. The European Union have offered 0 for 0 tariffs on cars and industrial goods. Is that not enough? And Trump says, no, it's not enough. The American administration, they're saying, do they really hate the European Union? No, what they want is fair tariffs across the board. And I actually appreciate this. I just wish he would have done it a little different, but hard to tell, right? Ken Stammer confirms that the problem in England is not their lack of a First Amendment. It's not any of these things. It's Islamophobia. Man, I know I've got people on the channel here that are from England and those other places. You guys are losing your country. This is crazy to me. That's the biggest concern, not Ukraine, not prices, not but Islamophobia. Anyway, Trump barks at Russia, tells him Russia has got to get moving. Too many people are dying, thousands a week. It is terrible and a senseless war, a war that should have never happened and wouldn't have happened if I was president. He always says that. Some English people have had enough. The problem with England is not Islamophobia. They say it's Keir Starmer. Many Muslim immigrants are pouring into our cities without control. They have free hotels, free food, driving lessons, and they raise 4 to 5 children with our taxes. Our taxes are now over 70%. So people in England are saying their taxes are over 70%. Here's the real bad part of that story is that they're having 4 to 5 children and your average English couple's having 1.3. Yeah. That will be a full Muslim country in a decade. Right? Absolutely crazy. Let me see here. G. John says midterms will be determined by whatever new unknowns next virus occur, in my opinion, unless media propaganda overpowers reality. Yeah, well, media and propaganda definitely are not reality, huh? Breaking: the U.S. House has voted to pass the SAVE Act. These are some actually good news, right? Requiring proof of citizen to vote. I don't know why this is such a hot topic.
Proof of citizenship?
Yeah, to vote. I have to have a driver's license to drive.
Yeah.
I've never really gotten the argument.
Haven't you always had to have a driver's license to vote?
In Kansas, you do. But there's many states that don't require any ID to vote.
That's crazy.
Somebody tell me.
So how do they know who you are if you don't have an ID?
I don't know.
You go up, you can make up a name or what?
I would assume. I don't know. I don't live in those states. I have to, give an ID. But someone tell me what the argument is for not having an ID to vote. Like I've heard arguments all over that it's unfair to minorities. They have ID. I just don't get it. Yeah, I don't get it. RFK just called for the stop of adding fluoride to our water. The evidence against fluoride is now overwhelming. This probably get this video banned. We know that it causes profound IQ loss and other neurological injuries like ADHD, according to RFK Jr. President Trump announced that he'll be requesting a record-breaking $1 trillion Pentagon budget. So Trump is upping the budget for the military to $1 trillion, which $840 billion right now. So basically, he's giving the military a 20% bump. Just more spending, even though we're $36 trillion in debt. I'm not a big fan of this. We already spend 5 times more than the next closest country to us. I don't know if you guys seen this or not, but the Democrats held a shadow government hearing today. You know how we talked about it last week, how they were going to form their own cabinet in an effort to combat Trump. This is completely unconstitutional, but they actually formed it and began having meetings this week. A 32-hour work week has been proposed. Could be the new maximums in the U.S. soon. A new law has been introduced into Congress that would make it so employers would have to cut the work weeks for their employees to 32 hours. Anything over 32 hours would constitute a fine. And if repeated violations happen, it can mean jail time. Now, this bill was introduced into Congress in order to make people's lives better and have a higher quality of life for people in the U.S. What do you guys think about this? Is this a good idea?
Maximum in the U.S. by law.
By law. See, I think that's really what you talk about. I think that's really the issue to this. Shouldn't an employer and an employee have their own agreement? If somebody wants to work 80 hours a week, let them work 80 hours a week. Maybe they're trying to open a business. Who knows? The goal, let me see, the goal is to allow invalid votes. The only thing that makes sense. Yeah, I just absolutely don't get it. M says they won't be able to afford or to enjoy the time off. Also true. I just don't think we need more regulation, right? I mean, if you want to work 32 hours a week, then work 32 hours a week, right? Yeah, they didn't mention overtime, Pack Rat. By the way, Pack Rat, welcome in. Oh, I don't know. There's another interesting statistic I thought you guys would find interesting. The max any one person can pay into Social Security to the course of your life is $10,453, or per year is $10,453.20. If you did that every year from age 18 until retirement, the max you could get out of Social Security was $4,873. If you put that same exact money into an S&P index fund instead, you'd receive $32,000 a month. So what's crazy about that, if you do the math, $10,000 per year from 18 to retirement. So let's just call it 20 to 60. So that's 40 years, right? So if you put $10,000 in a year times 40 years, you've put $400,000 in there, right? Is what you've contributed to this fund that will pay you $4,000 a month. What a scam that is. What a scam. I know I'll never get my money out of it. Now, Conserve Friend says Biden gave away all of our munitions and equipment. We got to restock. You know what? I don't mind that, but does it make sense that we're spending 5 times the next closest country? I mean, it seems like a lot to me, you know? So if I'm paid hourly, then what? Well, then you get paid for 32 hours, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations. Holy cow, President Trump wasn't joking. He called for Congress to abolish the income tax. This is huge. You know, there's been a lot of debate back and forth on whether income tax is constitutional or not. I can tell you guys that the 16th Amendment says that the Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes on incomes from whatever sources derived without appropriate among the several states and without regard to any census or enumeration. So it is not unconstitutional. No, I think all taxes should be unconstitutional because this was an amendment that was obviously ratified. I had a great email that came in this week, so I just thought I would read it to you. Some history of income tax, so you guys know, right? While the concept of voluntary compliance is often mentioned, paying taxes in the U.S. is ultimately not voluntary. The IRS enforces the tax system, and failure to pay can result in penalties and legal consequences. To help pay for its war effort in the American Civil War, Congress imposed its first personal income tax in 1861. It was part of the Revenue Act of 1861, 3% of all incomes over $800, and then it was rescinded in 1872. Before the federal income tax, the U.S. government primarily relied on tariffs for revenue. Other revenue sources besides tariffs and excise taxes, the government also collected revenue from the sale of public lands and other fees. Pre-1913, tariffs were the primary source of federal revenue, reaching nearly 95% at times. In 1913, the 16th Amendment, the Constitution was amended to allow Congress to tax incomes, marking a significant shift away from the reliance on tariffs. The federal income tax gradually became more prominent sources of revenue, but tariffs continued to be used, especially after the Great Depression, to protect American industries, according to the National Constitution Center. So, you know, I don't know if Trump's going to get rid of this or he's going to be successful getting rid of this. I don't think he can get rid of it just by an executive order because it was part of it was amended, part of the Constitution in 1913. He does not have the power, in my opinion, to remove income tax from that. That's right. It would take a 75% vote of both houses in order to change that. I don't think he can get those votes, personally. Anyway, you guys see all the protests that are going on? So the anti-Trump protests were all over the United States. As you can see in the top left-hand corner, that those are maps of all of the different hundreds and hundreds of places. You can see, Lincoln Square there. You can see Chicago. What else we got there? You can see, there's Chicago. Yep, right there. What I thought was funny was that picture in the top middle, that yellow picture. Same shit, different hat, and it has a Make America Great Again and the Ku Klux Klan. But for those, it must be, anyway, yeah. For those who don't know this, the Ku Klux Klan was founded by the Democrats, just so you know. And if you don't believe me, look it up. All right. Anyway, I found it interesting. I got to get hurrying. Another huge protest is taking place in Kansas City, Missouri. Happening now, an aerial view of massive protests in Boston. Salt Lake City had another protest. Thousands gathered in Washington, D.C. 8,000 people. Where is this one at? In Vermont, gathered to protest. So I think the divide grows in our country. And it seems like those numbers are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We will see. What's Mo got to say? Mo says taxes are still somewhat voluntary. You can refuse to work above your need. You can make value in your life other ways. That I agree with. But I think the argument of income tax isn't legal is just not true because they amended it, you know? Get rid of that. What else we got? Massive protests erupted in Rome, so it's going on all over the country. Other countries joining the protest. There's some more in London. Let's see here. Protesters are chanting "Fu Elon" at a protest in Berlin, Germany. What I found interesting is some of the other places. So police in Kenya were called to one. Arrests, so that one's in Germany. Children took part in a huge protest in Morocco. These are countries we don't hear a lot. I don't hear a lot about. Another big protest broke out in Greece. Let's see here. British citizens are gathering outside Downing Street to demand the removal of their prime minister. Bangladesh is having a massive protest. A national strike is being planned for Great Britain. Everybody's really happy, can't you tell?
Yeah.
Right? And then finally, I wanted to share with this, you guys, because I get a lot of heat about why would you live in Kansas and all the tornadoes? So if you look, there's the tornado count so far to date from 2024 and 2025. So in 2024, Kansas had 9, which would have put it about middle of the pack. So far this year, we've had none. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 states that have had tornadoes. Kansas isn't one of them. Yeah. What do you think about that?
I agree.
Everybody says that. But everybody also says
78. Geesh. Is that Arkansas?
No.
What is that?
That would be Alabama, Mississippi. And yes, Rickster, you're 100% correct. Soros is funding those protests. But dude, they're a lot. Right? They're a lot. So anyway, Kansas is not desolate. Okay. And we aren't the tornado capital of the world. We're not even in the top half. So yeah, Packrat's 100% right. Tornado Alley is now Dixie Alley. 100%. Mo says you're going to lose your Wizard of Oz cred soon. Ain't that true? Kansas had a tornado in the center of the state within the last 2 weeks. Well, this was through March 31. So maybe we have one now, JB? I don't remember that. But anyway, as of March 31, if you guys see, this is January 1st through March 31 in 2024 and in 2025. Yeah, Northern Girls Hobby says, funny how we don't hear about these protests. I know, right? Like I get almost none of my information off mainstream media now. I'm just searching all the Twitters and everything that's going on, right? X, I guess, Instagram, all of those to try to find the things that are going on because, yeah, you won't hear anything about it, right? Which I find just insane. You'd think they'd want to report news maybe. I don't know. Let's see here. JB says went from Canopolis Lake to Nebraska. I didn't hear about it. I believe you. But again, that was just through March 31st.
Canopolis?
JB, I can't tell you the number of people who emailed me and said, man, we would love to come to your community, but man, we don't want tornadoes. I'm like, where do you live? Illinois. Far worse than where we live, as far as the number of tornadoes go. And then I also get a lot of emails that talk about, I don't want to live in a flat, barren place. They just don't understand. That is not what Kansas is. Well, that's not what this part of Kansas is. Obviously, there's some parts that probably are. But guessing protests are more in the blue states, I should venture to the Twin Cities. Nito says, ironic how they are worried about Doge auditing the government, but they are okay with the government employees who approve Social Security numbers for future birth dates and continuing Social Security payments for people over 100 years old. Nurse Wang says, sorry, I don't want the cold. That's a fair argument. But the truth is, we have 10 great months here a year. We have 2 that are rough. Oh, man. Yeah, 2 in there. 1 month is really, really hot and 1 month really, really cold. And JB says, to the northeast. Oh, okay. I thought you meant up to Nebraska. Well, I guess that would still be up to Nebraska, wouldn't it, JB? I think so. Yeah. Anyway, B, I'm through them all. Why? You got any parting words you want to start with tonight?
Mine were going to be get into the fight.
Get
in the fight. Start. See what you can get into. See, maybe you don't have to come up with it all on your own. Maybe you can just help somebody else.
Yeah, I think we can make a difference if we go engage. And, we talked about the school a lot tonight. And,
Yeah.
I don't know how it comes out. But what I do know is if we don't go swing, nothing's going to come out.
Yeah. You have to
Oh,
start somewhere.
Nurse Wang says, I beg to differ. I hate the cold we get here in New Jersey. You might be getting more cold there than we do here. We have 4 rough weeks of winter and we have 4 rough weeks of summer. The rest of it's not bad. That said, where are you that you are not subject to natural disasters or far worse politically man-made disasters? Well, I would add another thing, and specifically talking to Nurse Wang here, how many people can get you in a tank of gas? Which is the biggest natural disaster.
In New Jersey?
In anywhere. How many people can drive
Wherever
to you in a
you're
tank
at.
of gas? And that, I think, is the big one. David says, I'm interested in living in Kansas, but to be close to your community, I'm reluctant because I feel our community needs to be spread across the country. David, we need community in every state. The problem is it's hard to impact. I've went and spoke to a lot of communities all over the country, and some of them are motivated and some of them aren't. But all I can tell you is here in this community, I have a real opportunity to make difference every day because we have a super supportive community. And they want to do it as well. And so we're just incredibly blessed here. But I could not agree with you. We need community everywhere, but it's got to start somewhere. And, I'm not going to wait for someone else to do it. I'm going to do it myself. And hopefully we can be, a beacon of light, somewhere, and we can help motivate people in other places. Yeah, I can't wait. If we can get a documentary done at the school with Joel, that will open up so many eyes, right? Just so excited. Get engaged. Yeah. Northern Girl Hobbies. Yeah. Yeah, Big Kid says community is what you make it. How you doing, Big Kid? I think it's all about intention, about being intentional and do it with a purpose. I've used this example a lot of times. Why do you pull weeds in your garden? Because you want to harvest. How's community any different? Yeah. Nurse Wang says, I love what you guys are doing in Salaton. So excited to see what happens. Thanks for all the inspiration. You bet. My pleasure. Yep. Dana says, I'd love to be in your community, but what would I contribute? My question. Dana Green, you know what? We hear about that a lot. I have a lot of people who say, I don't bring anything to the table. And in the end, they bring a ton.
Yeah.
I would rather have character, attitude, commitment over any level of skill.
And many hands make the light work.
That's right. Community across the country is revolutionary after past leadership and divisiveness. Couldn't agree more. Anyway, guys, get in the fight, as B says. We will see you guys Friday, and hopefully somewhere in there I'll get a video out on our community day tomorrow, and we'll continue to talk about the Joel experience and see if we can impact some people bigger than us, and maybe a little piece at a time, maybe we can go change the world. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Hold the line. Be out.